Hello and good evening. You're watching AWANI Tonight with me, Hafiz Marzukhi. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says that he has taken steps to firmly demand that Israel stop its atrocities against the Palestinian people. According to him, Malaysia's stance is pragmatically aligned with consensus, which must be coordinated with Arab and Islamic countries within the UN's framework.
Adalah penting bagi Malaysia dan komuniti antarabangsa mengutuk jenayah genosid di Palestin, memberi tekanan ke atas Israel untuk melaksanakan gencatan senjata dan segera bagi membolehkan bantuan, perubatan, makanan dan keperluan kemanusiaan lain. Maka inisiatif ini diambil oleh Arab Saudi bersama dengan negara Arab dan Islam tentu akan memberi tekanan, dan kita, kehadiran kita akan memberikan gesaan supaya keputusan-keputusan lebih berkesan dan tindakan susulan akan lebih bermakna bagi pembebasan Palestin. Ini termasuklah cadangan menggerakkan Special Committee Against Apartheid di PBB ke atas Israel.
Anwar was responding to Sikh MP Ahmad Tarmizi Sulaiman, who called on the government to cut ties with companies that have dealings with Israel.
The government has announced steps to phase out natural gas for vehicles or NGV and NGV-powered vehicles starting July 1st, 2025. Transport Minister Anthony Loke says this is part of the efforts to gradually discontinue the use of NGV nationwide.
Bagi membantu pealihan pemilik kenderaan NGV kepada bahan api lain, pihak Petronas NGV telah mengambil inisiatif untuk menyediakan program bantuan pealihan kenderaan NGV untuk kumpulan sasar yang terjejas, iaitu pemandu kenderaan taksi NGV, para pemilik kenderaan bahan api tunggal dan juga dui bahan api NGV.
Applications for these packages can be made via the program's website at www.peralihanngv.com. Loke added that only about 44,383 NGV vehicles remain on the road, representing just 0.2% of the nation's motor vehicles, excluding motorcycles. He highlighted that many NGV vehicles are dual-fuel operated, with kits installed between 1995 and 2014, and noted that the NGV tanks of these vehicles are reaching the end of their service life, typically set at 15 years.
The government is finalizing the National Clean Air Action Plan 2025 to 2040, or NCAP. Deputy Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Datuk Seri Huang Tiong Si says the plan brings together the private sector, industry players, NGOs and educational institutions in an effort to enhance Malaysia's air quality.
This plan is designed to enhance Malaysia's ambient air quality and serve as a guiding document that aims to drive unified and comprehensive efforts toward achieving better air quality.
He stressed that aerosol research in Malaysia is essential in addressing air quality and climate challenges in Malaysia. Additionally, in achieving the target of net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, the government is finalizing a long-term low-emission development strategy and the nationally determined contribution NDC roadmap as well.
The project to widen the Kuala Lumpur-Karak Highway is expected to begin in January next year. Deputy Works Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan says the road expansion will address congestion, especially during festive seasons and public holidays, with the highway expected to be operational by 2029.
The estimated 2.1 billion ringgit project involves a 45.3-kilometre stretch between the Gombak Toll Plaza and Bentong Pahang. Ahmad informed that the concessionaire AFA Prime Berhad is now finalizing the design work before commencing physical construction. The plan includes adding a lane to the current 3-lane road from Gombak Toll Plaza to Genting Sempah and expanding the road between Genting Sempah to Bentong from 2 to 3 lanes. The work also includes a new 2-lane tunnel adjacent to the existing one heading east. Separately, Ahmad said his ministry is also studying a new road from Pelangai Junction in Pahang to Putrajaya and exploring alternative routes to reduce east-west congestion.
AWANI International is your gateway to global news, insights and stories that matter. From breaking headlines to in-depth analysis, stay connected with the world right here where you won't miss a beat.
Today marks the start of the 12th World Urban Forum in Cairo, Egypt, where policymakers, academics and urban experts are coming together to tackle urgent urbanization issues. Astro AWANI speaks with the UN Habitat's Chief of Communications, Katerina Bezgachina, for insight into the key themes and trends shaping the conversation at this year's forum.
A lot of events are based on 6 dialogues. So the first dialogue is on housing. The second one is about cities and climate. Then about partnerships and working together. And then about putting people first in the digital era. And the last dialogue is on the loss of home. So there are different events that are happening. If we are talking about sustainability, then a lot of these conversations will be happening during dialogue 2 when we talk about cities and climate. And also there are going to be conversations about funding. One of the dialogues, I think it's dialogue, one of the dialogues is called Financing Localization and Localizing Finance. So these are conversations, how do we get finance? How do we attract private sector finance? How do we fund these projects locally? How can cities access more funding? Because one of the issues is that cities do not have access to funding. So these are going to be the conversations that are going to be happening in one of the dialogues that talks about finance. And then I think also one of the important sessions is going to be looking at data, how to really get data. Direct data so that we can understand what is the need, analyze this need and then propose solutions.
As the US approaches polling day on November 5th, all eyes are on the 7 battleground states that will ultimately decide the next president. Our Astro AWANI team member Fei Kwan is currently in Dearborn, Michigan, one of the pivotal states in this high-stakes race.
Dearborn, Michigan over here is home to the largest Arab American and Muslim community in the US. And with Michigan being one of the key battleground states this election, both presidential and vice presidential candidates have been campaigning here nearly every other day since August. Now, the state voted for Republican Donald Trump in 2016, but returned to the blue wall in 2020 by giving President Joe Biden a narrow majority and victory by just 150,000 votes. Who will sway voters here this time round? We'll find out tomorrow in the elections.
Although polls show that Michigan leans Democrat, the Biden administration's inability to curb Israel's actions in Palestine and Lebanon has affected the party's standing among the state's 200,000-plus Arab Americans. As Vice President, Kamala Harris is being held equally responsible, and recent polls show her tied with Trump among the community. Trump, meanwhile, has aimed to attract Muslim voters by pledging peace in the Middle East. However, Harris maintained strong support among female voters, emphasizing women's reproductive rights in an election with the country's biggest ever gender divide. The economy also remains a central issue as inflation has surged under Biden's leadership. Beyond Michigan, key battlegrounds include Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is seen as a major prize on the map, historically deciding on the overall winner in 48 out of 59 elections.
Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris made her closing pitch for the U.S. presidency at a rally in East Lansing, Michigan on Sunday. Harris started her speech with a nod to civilian victims of Israel's conflict with Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
And I want to say, this year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza. To bring home the hostages, end the suffering in Gaza, ensure Israel is secure, and ensure the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, security, and self-determination.
Harris faced skepticism from some who are frustrated that she has not done more to help end the war in Gaza and scale back aid to Israel. Harris's Republican rival Donald Trump visited Dearborn, Michigan, the heart of the Arab American community, on Friday and vowed to end the conflict in the Middle East without saying how. Opinion polls show the pair locked in a tight race, with Harris bolstered by strong support among female voters, while former President Trump gains ground with Hispanic voters, especially men. Israel has formally notified the United Nations of its decision to sever ties with UNRWA, the agency supporting Palestinian refugees. This follows a legislation passed by the Israeli parliament banning UNRWA from operating in Israel and occupied East Jerusalem, halting aid cooperation for millions of Palestinians.
Israel has long criticized UNRWA, accusing it of anti-Israel bias and claiming its staff participated in the October 7 attack on Israel. The ban on the UN agency, which has provided essential aid for Palestinians for over 7 decades, has drawn heavy condemnation from the international community, including major allies like the United States and the United Kingdom. While the ban does not directly outlaw UNRWA's operations in the West Bank and Gaza, it will significantly hinder its ability to work in those areas, limiting access and coordination with Israeli authorities.
At least 10 people have been killed after a volcano erupted in Indonesia, sending thick ash high into the air and raining down on nearby houses. The eruption at Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki on the island of Flores just after midnight on Monday spewed thick brownish ash as high as 2,000 meters into the sky. Rescuers are looking for more bodies under collapsed houses. At least 10,000 people have been affected by the eruption in 6 villages of Wulanggitang district and 4 in Ilebura district. The local government is preparing to use schools as temporary shelters for those affected. The danger level was increased to its highest level and the exclusion zone more than doubled. That wraps up this edition of AWANI Tonight. Do check out our revamped English web portal, delivering in-depth global news and analysis to keep you informed on the critical events shaping our world. All in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Good night.